The birth control pill was approved in 1960. Before that, nothing, right? Wrong. Before the pill, there was the pessary. Before the pessary, there was the plant. Before the plant, there was something older, something no one wrote down, something women passed to each other for 30,000 years. And it worked. Start before Egypt, before Rome, before writing existed. A hunter-gatherer woman living 30,000 years ago had on average one child every 4 to 5 years. That is not biology, that is management. A modern woman who doesn't breastfeed returns to fertility within weeks of giving birth. A hunter-gatherer woman who nursed on demand, constantly, throughout the day and night, suppressed ovulation for years at a time. The mechanism is called lactational amenorrhea. Frequent nursing keeps prolactin levels elevated. Prolactin blocks the hormonal cascade that triggers ovulation. No ovulation, no pregnancy. The Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last hunter-gatherer societies on Earth, still show this pattern today. Hadza women space their children at 4-year intervals, without a clinic, without a prescription, without knowing the word prolactin. They understood what their bodies did, and they used it deliberately. This was the first human contraceptive, not a plant, not a pill, a behavior refined over tens of thousands of years. And then agriculture happened. Around 10,000 years ago, humans started farming, and something changed. Farming women began having children every 2 years, sometimes less. The reason? Farmed food, soft grains, early weaning. A baby fed on grain needs less milk. A mother who nurses less returns to fertility faster. The 4-year gap collapsed. The natural contraceptive failed. For the first time in human history, women needed something else. The Ebers Papyrus, written in Egypt roughly 3,500 years ago, one of the oldest surviving medical documents in the world. It contains 9 contraceptive recipes, not folk remedies passed down in whispers, formal medical prescriptions, written by physicians, intended for use. One recipe, acacia gum, mixed with honey and dates, formed into a pessary and inserted vaginally. This sounds primitive. Here is what modern chemistry found when researchers tested it. Acacia gum ferments in the presence of moisture and body heat. It produces lactic acid. Lactic acid is a spermicide, the exact same compound used in modern contraceptive gels sold in pharmacies today. The Egyptians didn't know the word spermicide, but they got the chemistry right. 3,500 years ago, another recipe in the same papyrus, pomegranate pulp. Modern analysis found that pomegranate contains phytoestrogens, plant compounds that mimic estrogen in the body. Estrogen disruption can prevent implantation. Recipe after recipe, the pattern holds. The Ebers Papyrus is not superstition dressed as medicine. It is medicine, documented, tested, biochemically confirmed. Soranus of Ephesus, 2nd century AD, the most respected gynecologist in the ancient world. He didn't document one method, he documented a system. Barrier methods, herbal pessaries, timing protocols, plant-based oral treatments. He ranked them by effectiveness. He noted which were reversible. He specified exact dosages. This is not the behavior of someone guessing. This is clinical practice. And Soranus was not the author of this knowledge. He was the one who finally wrote it down. The system he described had been accumulated, tested, and refined for centuries before his pen touched papyrus. He was recording a tradition that was already ancient. So how do you lose all of this? This knowledge was women's knowledge, passed from midwife to midwife, from mother to daughter, from healer to patient. It did not live in books, it lived in hands and memory. And when male physicians displaced women from the practice of medicine, when the church declared that women healers were practicing sorcery, when the witch trials of the 15th through 18th centuries systematically executed those who carried this knowledge, the chain broke. Between 1450 and 1750, an estimated 40,000 to 100,000 people were executed for witchcraft across Europe. The majority were women. A disproportionate number were midwives, herbalists, healers. They weren't burned for practicing dark magic. They were burned for practicing medicine in a world that had decided women had no right to do so. The knowledge didn't vanish all at once. It went underground. It fragmented. Pieces survived in folk traditions, in rural communities, in isolated regions. But the coherent system was shattered. In the 1980s, Researchers testing Ferula species confirmed hormone-inhibiting effects in animal studies. In 2002, a research team found that wild carrot seeds disrupted progesterone activity and prevented implantation. In the 1990s, ethnobotanist John Riddle documented women in the Appalachian Mountains still using herbal contraceptive methods passed down through oral tradition for generations. Each time, the researchers weren't discovering something new. They were confirming something old. The biology was never wrong. What was lost was the institutional memory, the system that held the knowledge together. In 1960, the FDA approved the first birth control pill. It was celebrated, correctly, as a revolution. What the revolution was not the invention of contraception. The revolution was who got access to it. For 30,000 years, women managed their own fertility, with their bodies, with plants, with knowledge passed woman to woman across civilizations and across millennia. The idea that reproductive medicine began in the 20th century is not history, it is forgetting. Every woman who mixed acacia gum in 1550 BC, every midwife who knew which plant and which dose, every hunter-gatherer mother who nursed 4 years, not because someone told her to, but because she understood what happened when she didn't. They were doing exactly what we call medicine today. They just didn't get to keep the credit. The pill didn't invent the answer. It just wrote it down somewhere no one could burn.